Father in heaven, Lord, you are so good to us all the time. You have provided everything we need. You provided our salvation through your Son, Jesus. You provided for abundant life. That we would live life to the fullest through your word. You provided us peace through your Spirit. And we thank you, Father. We thank you for the honor and privilege of being here today. And we thank you for the honor and privilege of remembering this precious lady. Bless our time together. May it all give you your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Beautiful. Now, Anna's son Gary is going to come up and do a life stage.
Well, let me thank everybody for coming out here on this last weekend before Christmas in the snow and the ice. Really appreciate that. I was trying to put this together last night, and it's really hard to sum up 77 years of life and to catch all the highlights. And so I've got some bullet points here. I'm just going to be kind of winging this, and I hope it flows okay. She was born in 1930 to George Leo and William Marie. Mom was pretty sickly as a child. She contracted scarlet fever and pneumonia, but through the doctoring of my grandmother, she got through all those. She graduated Southern High School in Baltimore, Maryland. I believe it was 1948, and Mom loved school. Why? I don't know. It was nothing that was passed on to me genetically. I hated school with a passion, but she loved school. She always talked that she cried the day that she graduated from high school, but she was so active in sports, field hockey, the women's team bowling, and all those other things. She was pretty active throughout life. The woman I'm sharing about is probably a little bit different, maybe in some aspects, from the lady that you came to know when she came to Idaho. I'm sharing from the first 17, 18 years of my life. She had one sister, Edna, who she loved very dearly. They were very, very good friends, very close, even all the way through. She married her childhood sweetheart, my dad, Christian Boker. They were total opposites. Dad was very serious-minded, work-oriented, very health-conscious. Mom was just total opposite, just kind of a, I guess you'd call her kind of like a free bird. She liked to party, dance, have a good time, and they were just total opposites in everything. They had me. They later divorced, I think, when I was about 2 years old. And something I thought about lately was, they had subsequent relationships in marriage and throughout, but none of them worked out for either one of them. And it's my own. And she would sit and talk to herself, and Gloria called it chanting or whatever, but she would sit there and she would just say, Chris Boker, I've always loved you, and I will love you to the day I die. And that's why I think they just still always, somewhere deep down loved one another. And, Dad never, I'll never get that out of him, but he was pretty somber and quiet when I told him that Mom had passed away. So, but that's just my own personal belief. Like I said, she loved to dance. She taught me a lot of the dances that were popular back then, like jitterbugging and twist and stuff like that. Some of us boomers would be familiar with, and maybe not, Judy. I got some emails from some friends, and they were very kind, and they brought out some things I'd forgotten. She always treated my friends like they were part of the family, and she would sit around with us and laugh and tell jokes, and those were the fond memories that they emailed back to me. With a football fan, particularly of the Baltimore Colts. She just, back in the days of, Eric, you might know, like John Unitas and Raymond Berry. I mean, she had season tickets to the Baltimore Colts for years, and sometimes she'd take me to the games, and she just loved football. And probably not so much in later years, but little thing, if any of you were ever betting people, and Mom, for a long time, predicted Super Bowl winners every year for like the first 25 or 26 Super Bowls. I mean, she was right on with it. It's like, and I'd always call her up when I was in Navy. Mom, who's going to win? I got some money riding on this, No point spread, but she would always tell me, and she was always right. And she was always very spur of the moment. Not so much in later years, but she was always a very spur of the moment kind of person. It was nothing for her to come home from work on a Friday night, and she'd tell me and my cousin, hey, come on, let's go. Let's get your mother. We're going to go out to the beach. And so 8, 9 o'clock at night, there we would be loading into the car and driving off 100 miles to Ocean City, and we'd sleep in the car while it was dark, and then as soon as it was light, we'd all get up out of the car, and then we'd go to the beach and spend the day there. And it was always the beach or the drive-in, something with her like that, but she was just very, very spontaneous. What else? You notice out there, her name on the set where it says, what's it, Anna or Betty it's got out there? Anna, is it? Graceful one. Mom was anything but graceful. She really wasn't. In fact, the thing that really, because she used to, be a partier years ago before she got to know the Lord, and she was walking around her house in Baltimore, and she slipped on one of those little throw rugs, and she broke her arm. And she called me up and she said, my gosh, Gary, if I do this when I'm sober, what's going to happen if I'm drinking? So that was the thing that got her to stop drinking. I mean, whatever got her, whatever works for you. And Except for one time, that's, the only time, that's the last time I knew of it, she ever really had anything to drink. Something Mom always taught me, she taught me that these are just my special memories. That the Jews were God's chosen people. She always loved Israel and the Jewish people, and she had a real heart for them. There's another page to this. She loved animals. She loved Dixieland jazz. Little things in life, little everyday hassles, would kind of set her crazy. But the big things, she was always pretty calm about, and she was always there for me. But dear God help me if she came home and I forgot to make my bed, because, she'd raise the roof. But, the big things, when I got in trouble with the law in my younger years and stuff, she was just cool, calm, and collected about the whole thing. Just helped me through it, and she was always there for us. She was incredibly lucky with any type of gambling, be it bingo. She loved bingo. She used to play the ponies. I say play the ponies. She used to go out to Pimlico with my stepfather, and they would bet on the horses. And my stepfather was very analytical in these things. He'd get the racing form, and okay, this horse is a mutter, and horses won so many times with this jockey, very statistical, and go through the books. My mom was a hunch better. It's like, oh, that horse's name, Gary's Pride. I'm going to bet on that one. Betty, you're nuts. That's a 50-1 long shot. Are you crazy? And she'd win. And it would set him crazy, because this would happen. And a story that my kids still tell and laugh about is the time we went to Las Vegas. And Mom had never been to Las Vegas. But, she, like I say, she liked to gamble, not excessively or anything, but she was one to play bingo. And we were walking through some casino, and she sits down and she puts a quarter or some token in one machine. Very first one, pulls the bandit, wins $200. Very first time. And of course my kids are, Nana, here, take a quarter. Can you play for us? And said, no, just take that out of here. But that's just the type of person that she was. And she was never one to say goodbye. She would always
she would never say goodbye. She wouldn't let you say goodbye. It was always so long. Or see you later, because to her, goodbye was final. And she didn't want to say goodbye. And even when she left, we said so long, because we're going to see her again.
I think that's it.
We have a lot of fond memories, and I know each one of you all have fond memories of the times that we spent with her, and we hope a little later on that each one would share a little something with a special memory you have of Nana that we can all enjoy and share together.
And I'll try. What? Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Personal moment. Anyway, I'm going to try and get through this song. I don't know if I'll be able to, but the last night that Mom was really coherent, if you will, she was in a lot of pain. Gloria was praying and reading scriptures, and I pulled out my guitar and sang a couple of songs. And this one particular song just really seemed to bring peace and comfort and calm her down until she settled down for the evening, and we could leave her for the night. So it was the last song I ever did for her, and I'm going to try and get through it, but at this point I'm not making any guarantees.
Jacob, you'll come
message written by Betty Ensey to all her loved ones. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you, and the old life that we lived so fondly together, untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, mother, wife, sister, son, or daughter, that we are still. Call me by my familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we have shared together. Play, smile, think of me, and pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It's the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well with love and memories. Thank you all for being in my life and being part of those memories. Betty Ensey, 1997. 1 Thessalonians 4:14. This is mine. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. Betty always, from the minute I met her, seemed to know me just like I was her girl. And I always loved her smile. I loved seeing her. So.
Now, Judy says about us to come up and share a letter from Nana to her sister.
My farewell to my sister Edna. The time has come that we must say goodbye. We talked about this day many times, and I'm thankful God took you the way you wanted to go. We shared many hopes and dreams. We had our good times and our bad times. We laughed together and cried together. Through it all, we had a bond that only sisters can share. There are so many things that I will miss. Our telephone conversations, and you telling me before you said so long, please be careful. I worry about you being alone. I would tell her not to worry, I'll be okay. And then we would tell each other, I love you. Monday afternoon when I was at the hospital and you asked me not to go, little did I know that that was to be our last goodbye. I want you to know I will treasure the memories that we had. I love you and I miss you. If there is a life hereafter, we will meet again someday. You were always more than a sister. You were and still are my very best friend. Love, Betty. And that is true. That's how she lived her life. When she loved you with her whole heart. And you knew you were special to Nana. She always would take your cheeks and she would make sure she kissed you before you did say so long.
Now, Lori Swisher and Jenna says about seeing the
Now, just the spices are used to season to add or enhance flavor. So you have been spice to us. Seasoning our lives with the special, thoughtful things you say and do. Sorry. Your sharing and caring ways, the laughter you bring to our lives, and the willingness to work through the tough times. Anna, we thank God for you and that you are here with us. We love you. I'll just remember now, we always, even Gwen and I would go over to the nursing home and put names of her, and she was so competitive and she always won. Every game we played, I just couldn't figure it out, you know. You know, she got kind of mean and ornery when she would know. In the last year or so, I would go over to their house and take care of her when Gloria and Gary went out of town, and she just got kind of ornery and stuff, but I just want to remember her in the old days when she was so happy and always laughing and always had a little quick comment to make, you know, so I just remember those good things about her.
And now Gary and Glory, and God will let have some this year.
Well, life with Mom was interesting and a lot of times humorous, and that's, yeah, very, very unpredictable. She had a couple of moments in those later years. It's kind of off of what we're going to share, but I remember one morning she came out, she thought she was ready for church, and she was dressed and everything. It's like, but Mom, you need to skirt over that slip, you know, before we can go to church. And she just, and runs back to the room. But this particular memory that we're going to share is one that some of you have probably heard, maybe some of you haven't, but it's quite humorous. I'm going to let John open up with his version, and I'll kind of come in with...
We got to kind of set the stage. You want to
Yeah.
set the stage of what was going on?
Well, it was just another Sabbath dinner on Friday, and we had put the table out in the yard to enjoy the summer. And I just remember I was sitting next to Nana and go to refill my glass with some wine, and she'd push her cup over and be like, "Go ahead and top mine off." So I'd pour a little in for her, and that happened a couple of times, and next thing I know, she's looking at me with a big grin from ear to ear, cheersing to me, saying, "Here's to you, kid."
And then that happened subsequently, like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 more times after that.
Now let me add something to this. Now, unbeknownst to John and I, because Gloria had been the primary caretaker for Mom, so she had sat her between John and I for a reason. Didn't tell John and I that we were supposed to watch my mother, you know, make sure she didn't do anything, so she just sat her there. And, well, okay, you know, this is how we're going to sit. So I'm enjoying a conversation, having a little bit of Sabbath wine, and out of the corner of my eye every now and then, see maybe John pour Mom some wine, and then stop seeing that and start out of the corner of my eye seeing Mom just reach over and grab the bottle by the neck and just start pouring her own. And then all of a sudden, and I didn't really pay any attention to that, because in her younger years, and I don't mean to offend anybody, you know, before Mom really got to know the Lord, she could really, you know, kind of pack it away on, you know, she could hold her own, but the best of them, I thought a few glasses of wine, it's not going to bother her in the least. And it didn't really, but then she started getting this look on her face, and I'm thinking, I've seen this look before, but I can't can't quite place it, you know? And then all of a sudden, she got that grin that John was talking about. She goes, "Here's to you, kid." And it's like, now I remember that look. Mom's sauce. And it all came back to me. And that's when my lovely wife stepped into the picture.
Well, that particular Sabbath, we had a couple over that was going through some very difficult times, and I was sitting next to them in deep, heavy conversation over this situation. So I was oblivious to what was going on the other side of the table. We've had many Sabbaths before that, and everybody just gets this much in their glass and that's it. Well, I'm deep in this conversation, and all of a sudden, I hear, "Here's to you, kid." And I thought, oh, well, Nan's having a good time. That's neat. I kind of looked up and went back to my conversation. Then a few minutes later, I hear again, just, "Here's to you, kid." And I looked over and I saw that grin. That was from ear to ear. I was like, I've never seen Nana look like that before. It's like, what's going on? And I was sitting there staring at her going, she's drunk. I couldn't believe it. She was drunk on Sabbath wine. Then I was angry at the two I left in charge to watch over Nana. Because they were supposed to be watching her so that I could have a conversation and have a little bit of break from taking care of her all the time. And so, anyways, I was a little upset, but then when she finally, about the 5th or 6th time that she took her little glass and went, "Here's to you, kid," she decided that she needed to go lay down. And so I was trying to help her back into her room, across the yard. And we made it a few steps, and then I was pretty much almost dragging her the rest of the way. And she just wanted to get to bed, but I was mad at these two for not taking better care, because I thought, oh my gosh, what did we do to her?
We did not know we were supposed to be watching.
Well, I was really scared at that point. I couldn't get her to bed quick enough. Everything was spinning on her and everything. But anyways, she made it through just fine. Next morning, she woke up just fine. And so, yeah, it's one of our funny stories that we share when we get together with people.
And one last thing on that. When Lori came back out from putting my mother to bed, she had a look on her face that I was very familiar with. And I knew John was in trouble. Anyway, I just want to have one last toast for Mom, and here's to you.
Here's to you, kid.
I'd like to open it up for a few minutes to anybody who has memories that they'd like to share. And then, so please feel free to come up and share for a few minutes.
And we also have a microphone right here if people want to come all the way up. We can just pass it. Who would like to share? I'll share your story with us. You can stand.
This is our Mason. And when he came to live with us, Nana was his caregiver. Anytime I needed someone to watch Mason, Nana was right there. Oh, I don't have anything better to do. I was just going to watch a movie. Bring him on over. So we take Mason over, and we walk in that room, and there was that cat. Now, I like some cats, but there are other cats that I don't really care for. And I'm thinking, here I'm leaving my little bitty baby helpless with this maniac monster cat, Brutus. I walk in and Nana had scratches and bites all over her hands where this cat had attacked her. And I'm watching her. I'm going, Nana, are you So after about the third or fourth visit to Nana's room, I'd walk in with my little boy, put him on her bed, and I'd look at that cat and I'm like, Brutus, don't even think about it. Brutus and I came to an understanding. When he'd see me coming, he'd go under the bed. And that's where he stayed until Mason was gone. But one of the funniest memories, well, until I was gone. So I'd come back from a day of shopping or whatever I had to do, meetings, and there I'd find Mason propped up in the middle of Nana's bed. It wasn't any just little propped up. He had his hands behind his head. He had one foot up on his knee, and he'd look at me, Grandma, we're not done with our movie yet. You have to go away and come back later. And I'd look and I'd look at Nana, and she'd just go, see ya. And I'd say, okay. So I'd go out in the kitchen and wait until Mason and Nana had finished their movie.
Anybody else like to share?
Well, Nana liked to give it, I'd like to give it back, but the one thing she could never get past was her felony shoplifting. That was great. She gets so flustered every time you joke, tease her about that. We don't wear handcuffs and the conviction and all that stuff. So that was my favorite memory of her, giving her a hard time about the shoplifting.
As you all know, that going to the Boker House is an adventure in itself. You never know what you're going to find. But I would go in to visit with them, and Nana would be at the kitchen table doing her jigsaw puzzle. And at the course of it all, I sat down with her one day, and she says, "Oh, Brad, you like to do jigsaw puzzles?" I said, "Well, yeah, I deal with them a little bit." I said, "I enjoy them." So I sat there and resisted the temptation to join in with her, but it didn't last long, because before I knew it, she drew me right in. She would hand me a piece. "Do you know where this goes?" And so I would look at it and say, "Well, no." And so before I knew it, I had gained access to Nana's jigsaw addiction. And whenever I walked in the house, the first thing she would do was say, "Brad, sit down here and spend some time with me." And we would do jigsaw puzzles, and she would just get so elated because she could finish it. But the part that got me more than anything is, if you had a piece and you couldn't find it, she would look at it, she would take it from her, and then she would find the place that it went, she would look at it, she'd like, "Ha, gotcha." And so I understood that competition part when you said she was very competitive. But one thing that I noticed about Nana more than anything is she just loved me with all that she was. Every time I would see her, she'd come to me, she'd give me a big hug, and she'd give me a kiss on the cheek, and she says, "Oh, it's so good to see you, Brad." And it would just touch my heart. So in that place, it was like I would look for it, just so the simple fact is that I could give her that blessing back because she gave so much of herself. I was always amazed and very respectful to you, Gary and Gloria, for your desire and your taking care of Nana and the needs that she had. Because in that place where it is not easy for us to live, you guys stood strong. And for that, I have great respect for you. Last, when we seen Nana on Thanksgiving, and we went in and she was desiring, she couldn't really talk too well, but she was desiring to get up, to get back to that jigsaw puzzle. So we sat down with her and we helped her through it, even though she was having a rough time. She still was wanting to just do, and Nana was a doer.
so many memories. You can just go on and on about forever how nice Nana is and how much she loved everybody. But there's only one I can remember, and it's how she made me feel like a part of the family. I didn't have any grandparents or anything like that living in town. And it was my very first birthday with the Bokers, and they all made me feel special. But Nana got me a movie and a car. And ever since, she just has this thing where she just makes you feel like part of the family so much. And I know we'll all miss her. And God bless her.
We spent numerous time playing games together. And another thing that I made more of a game for us. We actually like to date. And we climb up to that tree. She liked it. She loves it.
I'm Madeline Kemp, and I'm a chaplain for hospice. And the very first time that I went over to Nana's house, the director of my hospice had warned me she's very possessive about puzzles, and you better leave her alone. So I went over to see her, and we're talking and what have you. And then I don't know what possessed me, but I got involved with the puzzle, and I'm not a good puzzle person at all. Well, that became a connection for Nana and I for talking. And each week I would look forward to coming over there and doing puzzles with her, and we would talk about various things about her growing up years, and she shared a lot of things with me. And one thing that she would often share with me, and I always knew that Nana knew the Lord very, very well, and she was very comfortable with the Lord. She would have been having a bad day, and she'd say, well, when I woke up this morning, I was just praying that the Lord would take me. I was just praying that the Lord would take me. I said, oh, no. She says, but then I remember, the Lord will take me when He's ready for me. and she had that kind of philosophical look at life about, I'm here, and this is good now, and I'll play whatever cards I'm dealt. The other memory I have with her, she was also a dominoes shark. I don't know any strategy. I think, well, I'm playing with this woman that this will be fine. I'll do fine. Well, I mean, she would beat me almost every single time. Because, and I would find, she had been kind of counting and planning all this strategy all along with it, and I would just happily playing whatever dominoes I've got. And of course, she was very modest about it, but I'd say, I can't believe you did it. Well, it's just luck. It's just luck. It wasn't just luck with that. She was planning everything.
I first got to meet Anna. She was my very first hospice patient. And I was also warned about puzzles. But I was honored to be allowed to help her with puzzles, and also was the recipient of, can't you match the colors? But I came to love her very, very much, and I know that she loved me. Every time I went on a cruise to Alaska this summer, and every time she saw me, she wanted to know about the cruise. And, it was just like I had just gotten back, and we talked about it, and she never forgot a person that she loved. She remembered, and there were a lot of things that she did forget. Adding was not one of them. She always could add faster in her head than I could on the calculator. But the thing about Anna was that she never forgot anybody that she loved. And I miss her.
and me and Ken got this great idea, we should play cards over it. So we went to this room, so we were all alone, and before we got to begin, Nana walked in, and we thought we were in trouble, but she kind of jumped in to the game. And we thought she tricked us, but she beat us. She got the 50.
Eric alluded a little bit to the felony charge, and that had something to do with what I wanted to share. So, just a long story short, she was charged with shoplifting because this candy bar had slipped into her purse, right? Yeah, Milky Way candy bar that was up on the things when you check out, right? And they actually charged her and handcuffed her, right? And we were so incensed over this that some of us boycotted the store. And I never used to go to that store anyway. Well, of all places to buy the ham, I bought the ham for the dinner. I got the ham and cooked the ham. I went to that store, not even thinking, gosh, for her celebration of life, I shouldn't go to that store. And but I was, and it never dawned on me until this morning. I thought, oh my gosh, I got the ham at that store for her celebration of life. And but I felt like the Lord spoke something to me in it, and I felt like what He said was, everything, it's okay, everything's come around full circle. And Nana has been restored, and not only physically but emotionally. And everything that eroded her life, and everything that took from her has been given back to her.
When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I actually brought something to read. I hope it's okay. It's talking about heaven and the way that we should, I guess the way that we view it. So. It's from C.S. Lewis. It's called The Sweet Secret Desire. In speaking of this desire for our own far-off country, which we find in ourselves even now, I feel a certain shyness. I am almost committing an indecency. I am trying to rip open the inconsolable secret in each one of you, the secret which hurts so much you take your revenge on it by calling it names like nostalgia and romanticism and adolescence. The secret also which pierces with such sweetness that when in very intimate conversation, the mention of it becomes imminent. We grow awkward and affect to laugh at ourselves. The secret we cannot hide and cannot tell, though we desire to do both. We cannot tell it because it is a desire for something that has never actually appeared in our experience. We cannot hide it because our experience is constantly suggesting it, and we betray ourselves like lovers at the mention of its name. Our commonest expectant is to call it beauty and behave as if that has settled the matter. The books or the music in which we thought the beauty was located will betray us if we try to trust them. It was not in them. It only came through them. And what came through them was longing. This thing, the beauty, the memory of our own past, are good images of which we really desire. But if they are mistaken for the thing itself, they turn into dumb idols, breaking the hearts of their worshippers. For they are not the thing itself. They are only the scent of a flower we have not found, the echo of a tune we have not heard, news from the country we have never yet visited. Do you think I'm trying to weave a spell? Perhaps I am, but remember your fairy tales. Spells are used for breaking enchantments as well as for introducing them. I know that Nana, in her last couple of years, truly wanted to just go home. And she understood, I think, that this isn't our home, and and she wanted to be there so desperately. And I'm just so thankful that I know that she is there and that I'm going to see her again. And also, I just can't wait. Everyone was saying she gave such great hugs. And she always gave such a wonderful, warm embrace. And she always gave such a sloppy kiss on the cheek. And I just really was thinking about that today, how she did make me feel part of the family. And I will miss her, but I know I'll see her again in that place.
Lori and John will sing Amazing Grace. Now Mickey has some remarks about friends old and new.
Well, one thing I would like to say about that is Nana would make people feel welcome all the time whenever they came over. Especially my friends, the first time they would come over, she was always asking them if they wanted to come in and like have a soda or a cookie or just something. She always was just treating people as if they were one of the family. And I have a thing here to read of 2 emails that my dad's friends from when he was a child sent him when they found out. And he says, "I never thought about the days when we would lose our parents. It is like they would always be beside us as we grow old. Our lives get to be so busy tending to our own kids that we don't even stop to see that our parents' lives are slowing down. I'm so sorry to hear about your mom's passing. I had hoped to see her so that we could talk and laugh about the day you, attorneys general, called the White House looking for your brother John. Your mom was a cool lady who was loved by your friends, me included. She also kept your cookie jar on the front shelf of the breakfast bar, filled with those pinwheel marshmallow chocolate cookies. I loved her laugh, and I can still hear her calling your name. She was a good lady. My thoughts and prayers are with you and your family this Christmas season. Love you, Ted. And then there's one more from another friend who says, hey Gary, thanks for the information about your mom. I'm sorry to hear she had passed, but knowing your brother, that you are our brother in Christ, what more can be said? I love you, brother, and will always remember how good your mom was to me. My prayers are with you and on December 22nd. I will lift your family up before the Lord. What great times we all had growing up. I can still remember how she would just laugh as hard as we did. God bless you, Gary. Remember, I'm always here for you, Tom Engelman. And that's just one thing I remember the most about her, is that she was always really friendly to just anybody and just loved you with all her heart.
This next song, I kind of chose this one. Actually, I was up late last night trying to find one. This one really came out to me because it's just kind of I think, a simple song about the sovereignty of God. And Mom really wanted, in a lot of ways, to keep things simple. She wasn't one, picking to say like this something really elaborate and fancy. She just wanted to keep it simple, and that's kind of the way this song is.